AI experiments for testers, creating test cases from videos. In this experiment, I want to record a video of me executing a test and see if I can get Claude Code to create test cases. What we'll be using for this is Claude Code, a tool called ffmpeg, which converts video to images, and the Windows Snipping Tool for recording the video. The approach we'll take is that we will create a test case template so that Claude knows what the output needs to look like. We'll pass in some rules that define what a good test case looks like, and then we'll record the video and we'll see if we can get Claude to come up with some scripts to convert that video to images so that it can then create test cases in a markdown format. Step one then, we want to initialize a Claude Code project. So if I come into Visual Studio Code and I type Claude, and the first thing we do with Claude Code when we start a new project is we use the / command init, /init, and Claude Code will then create the claude.md memory file and initialize the project so that it knows what it's working with. For step two, we need to create a template so that Claude knows what it's trying to create. For this, I just used Claude.ai or ChatGPT, typed in a prompt like, please can you create me a test case template in Markdown? And from that, I worked through the prompt to get a template that looks like this. So test case template, instructions to replace all the placeholders, ID, title, usual stuff for a test case. So while step two was about what we want to create, i.e. the test case template, step three is about the how we go about creating it, with some principles that Claude Code can follow to make good test cases. And again, in Claude or ChatGPT, we can add a prompt like this. Please can you create me a list of principles and rules that should be followed when creating good test cases. So that gives us two documents that I've pasted into Claude Code, and that is the test case template and the test case creation principles, which has just got some standard principles that people should be following or could be following when creating test cases, just to set the context for Claude Code when it comes to creating its test cases. Step four then, I want to create my first video recording of me running a test, and for that I'm going to use a demo app that I've created, which is an accounts and finance application, and all I want to do is record myself using the Windows Snipping Tool actually running through a test case. And once I've recorded and saved that MP4 file, I've got that in my Visual Studio Code project with Claude Code, and that runs through the process of adding a new account. So step five then, I want to prompt Claude Code and understand if Claude Code can actually process video. So I will use these prompts. You are an expert in software testing. My goal is to create a process where I can record a video of me using an application, have you turn it into a test case, and the big question is, are you able to process and understand video? So Claude Code, I expect to either come back and say no, or quite possibly it'll come back and think it's more capable than it really is and say it can, even though it can't. So it says yes, I can process the video. Okay, so let's just see if it can do that. So what I'm going to do is say, please take the video test, add account, and create a test case. And it's, as expected, come up, it's having error reading the file. So what I'm going to do is prompt it to say, please use a tool called ffmpeg, which I've already got installed on my system. Actually, it's installed as part of Playwright, so we will get Claude to try and use that to create screenshots. So it's already coming up with that. So yes, extract test steps and expected results from the video after it's converted those into screenshots. So it's saying make a directory for the temporary frames, use F, and it's using a frames per second of 1. I don't think that'll be enough, and we might need to increase that to 2 or 3 per second. So I'm going to go no, tell Claude something doing. Please continue with this approach, but use FPS of 2. So we get 2 screenshots per second. Let's see what command that comes up with now. And we get makes a directory for the screenshots using that MP4. Frames per second is now 2, and let's see if that gives us what we need in terms of the screenshots. Let's create the folder, temporary frames, and we have got, I think it was about 43 seconds that video, so that's not bad, so it's roughly about right, 84 videos. And bearing in mind, if we use this in production, this will be a one-off, use the frames, create the test case, then delete all these files, so we're not going to end up with masses of screenshots. So it's read and analysed the MP4 file, converted that into the PNG files, extracted the test steps and expected results from the video, and it's now creating the structured test cases in markdown format. And let's see what that gives us. And here we go, test case 001. Let's have a look through this. Well, let's create it and then we'll review it in Visual Studio Code. So let's see what it's given us. It's actually already put it straight in the test management test cases area. And let's have a look at the test case. Add an investment account using the financial dashboard, accounts management, verify the user can successfully add a new investment account through the dashboard with the account type, name and description. And let's see what values it came up with. Investment, main investment, and it's actually put the value in that I came up with, the description I used, navigate to dashboard page, showing balance, wow, and all the steps in there to create that test case with the expected results. Add new account, modal opens, new form, account is successfully created, main investment, styling, no error messages, and actual result. Yeah, I'm interested in that. Modal forms, some attachments, add account MP4 and temp frames. So that, for 5 minutes worth of work, is not bad at all. And it's come up with this file created, starting from the dashboard. And yeah, so I'm impressed with that. I think that's a workflow that could be converted into a / command to make it a little bit more deterministic and more context around the application, so that we create a test case structure that fits all of the screen recordings that we come up with. So what I'd probably do at this stage then, we've got a process then that Claude Code can follow to create the scripts. I might turn that into a Python script or something more deterministic. But what I'll do now is turn that into a prompt that I can reuse on a regular basis. So please could you take this process and the steps we followed and create a Claude Code / command named create test from video. And then what we should get in the .claude folder, so I think we actually need to put that in here. Might just help out a bit here and put that in there, .claude. And there we go, it's going to put .claude commands directory structure, right, create test case from video / command, and then it's going to test the / command, but we'll probably do that. And Claude Code's come back to me with this for the command. I'm going to create test case from video, create file, description, convert video, demonstration, process, follow these steps, analyze the video, extract test information, that looks good, create test case file structure. I would tweak this so that it hasn't got the file structure in there. I'd get it to reference the actual test case template that we're using here, but on the whole, for a bit of an experiment, this is looking reasonably good. So let's see what that's come up with. It's created the command in there, and what we've got now is a command that we can reuse to create multiple test cases from a video we take of our application. One of the quirks of Claude Code is that it won't find or pick up that command yet, so you need to exit and then go back in, start Claude again, and actually what we'll do is continue. And now once we've restarted, we continue with the same context, and when we use that / command, we should have that / create. And you can see now that it's picking that up, create test from video, and then I'd put in the video from another recording to create another test case. So in terms of results then, I thought it was really easy to get working, did a good job of analysing the screenshots, and it certainly could be a reliable and repeatable process if you tweak it and test it and perfect it. Not sure how it would perform on longer test runs, and it certainly does need a bit more refining, feeding in some lessons learned and some agentic loops configured to make sure that you're validating the test cases it's creating. What I'm still curious about is how good it would be with adding lots more validation points in there, how you'd highlight those, how you'd get it to pick up on those checkpoints and assertions. And it'd be interesting to see if narrating the test case and providing an audio transcript would help as well. And then finally, maybe could it generate given when then format specifically for BDD formatted test cases? So my final thoughts, interesting, needs more work, but that would definitely work and could be used in production once you'd tested and perfected the actual workflow and the process. If you want to learn more about how to get the most out of LLMs and Vision, there's a great article on the Claude Code cookbook which talks about some of the best practices for using Vision with Claude Code, and there's some really interesting concepts and ideas in there that I'd like to feed into that process if I was making it production ready. But on the whole, pretty impressive, pretty successful experiment.